Hey everyone, welcome to day 91 on the CDT. Today was a low energy day for me, and I think I've actually had low energy days the last 3 days and I just didn't notice it until today. I've been pressing myself pretty hard actually since Creed, and I hiked out at Creed on the 19th of June. I remember that date because I hiked out in the rain, and that started the long stretch of rainy days for me. So what is that, essentially 5 weeks I've been kind of pushing myself. And let's see, Monday I wanted to get around between 23 and 25 miles, and I think I ended up getting 21. Yesterday I wanted to get 25 miles, but after the first pass I quickly realized that wasn't going to be possible because I had underestimated the circ, or just not educated myself on what the actual hike was. So I ended up getting 17 something yesterday, 17 and a half I think. And then this morning I said, okay, I got to get a 25 miler, and that'll set me up for tomorrow. I'll only have like 11 or 12 miles into town. And I slept through my alarm this morning. My alarm is my watch, and it does 16 little buzzes or buzzers, and they're not quiet. You know, they're like little ringtones that play. And if it hits the end of the 16 and you haven't hit a button, it'll snooze for 5 minutes, and then it plays another 16 of those little buzzers, and then it's done. So I slept through 32 little buzzers in the course of, first 15 seconds, 5 minutes later another 15 seconds. So I ended up waking up around like 5:45. I wanted to get up at 5 and be hiking by 6. So I woke up at 5:45, I got hiking by 6:45, and within the first 2 hours I could tell I didn't have it. I think I ended up doing, sorry, it's windy, so I'm not sure if that's playing havoc with the microphone or not, so I'm just going to bring it closer here. I don't know. Let's see, what was I saying? So the first 3 hours, after the first 3 hours, I'd only hiked like 4.5 miles. I had to ford a river, and my feet don't like being wet, so I took off my shoes and forded it in my socks. It was a creek, but it was a wide creek. And then after fording it, I had to dry off my feet, put on dry socks, and all that rigmarole. I also was able to finally get cell service after a few days at one of the high points, and so I stopped and booked a hotel so I could have a 00 in town. So I wanted to make sure I didn't get there and everything was booked. And based on the prices and the limited availability, it looks like there's quite a number of hikers around that are going into Pinedale. So I'm glad I got a chance to book it. So those two things took time, but I 4.5 miles in 3 hours, that's low. I should have had between 6 and 7.5 miles, and since I stopped for the ford and stopped for the hotel, I should have been closer to 6 miles. So the low energy I was able to focus and get some good mileage in the middle part of the day, especially after lunch. And that kind of tipped me off of hey, I just had a calorie boost, and this could be the fact that I've been skipping towns, just going in, getting a box, and getting out of there within an hour, and not going into the proper towns, and also pressing myself hard. So this could be a calorie issue. I just don't have reserves left, and I need to make sure I'm not skipping towns anymore, which is unfortunate because the next two resupplies are really, they're not towns, like for anybody on the trail. One of them's a lodge, and one of them is in Yellowstone National Park. So, it's really bad timing for that, but it's a good timing for me to take a 00 and make sure I get a boatload of calories in me before I tackle those. I'll probably also need to add a little bit of food to what I'm carrying, so I'll look for high calorie items that I can add to my pack to help like kind of supplement on a daily basis. I think I met a gentleman yesterday. I think I may mention him in the video. He previously hiked the CDT, and he's out hiking some sections. So when he hiked the CDT in 2017, he didn't hike the Cirque, and he wanted to come back and hike the Cirque of the Towers. So he parked at a trailhead, and he was slack packing. He only had a day of food, or a day and a half of food. I think he had like his tarp tent in case he decided to spend the night. Like he couldn't get the whole circuit done in one day, and he had some clothes and stuff, but his tent or his pack was extremely light and small, and he did not have to do the first pass. Oh, mosquitoes. There's a wind, and so the mosquitoes aren't around, but when the wind dies, the mosquitoes come, so sorry about that. He didn't have to do the first pass. He was only doing the second two passes, which were Jackass Pass and Texas Pass. So I did an extra pass. I also was carrying, yesterday I was carrying 5 days of food because of the resupply snafu. And I'd been hiking for a bunch of consecutive days. Like yesterday was, I think, the 7th consecutive day I'd been hiking. I should not have been able to keep up with him, or I should not have kept up with him. Not the being able, like I should not, like him hiking, I shouldn't have kept up with him. And he and I leapfrogged a couple of times. Like I would stop for lunch and he would pass me, etc., etc. At the end of the day, we got to Texas Pass around, I don't know, the same time, within 10 minutes of each other. And we ended up hiking the last 6 miles back to the CDT, and then he turned south and I went north. And I was hiking with him. I shouldn't have done that. Like I don't know why I was pressing so hard, especially going up those passes. I think I was looking at the clock and looking at my mileage, and I was realizing I wasn't going to hit my mileage, so I was pressing myself. But the fact that he had such a light pack and hadn't been hiking for 7 straight consecutive days, and I had, and had 5 days of food, like I shouldn't have been able to keep up with them. And that's just an example of like me pressing hard, and it's not doing me any favors. So if I seem a bit down in this video, it's more of like me just being like low energy. I stopped early. I stopped at like 6:45, 6:30, 6:45. I got water. I set up my tent. I put out some stuff to dry in the sun. I just got to filter my water, stretch, dinner. I'm done. I'm gonna get some sleep, because that's another thing that I've been neglecting, is because I've been hiking later in the day. I'm getting to bed later, but I'm still getting up at 5, and so I'm getting less. I'm getting like 6 something hours of sleep instead of a full 8 hours. My body's also not getting a full 12 hours of rest. I think I mentioned in one of the really early videos, like I prefer to get to camp and let my body have 11 to 12 hours of solid just rest to recuperate for the next day. And I can't remember the last time I did that. I mean, if you don't count the 0 days in a town, like, sleeping in town, like on trail, letting my body have that 11 to 12 hour window of rest. I can't remember the last time I did it. It's got to be before Creed. maybe it was the day I hiked out of Creed, because I got in my tent early because of all the rain. There might have been one other day or 2 other days in the Sawash range because I got in my tent early because of rain. And that, I mean, that's it. So it's, I'm not taking care of myself. What I'm doing is I'm worried about the snow in September up in Glacier. I'm worried about the fires in Montana and Idaho. And I'm pressing, because the snow has melted out and because we're in Wyoming so early. I'm pressing to get miles when I can get miles and not get stopped by fires or anything else. And I'm skipping towns. I'm skipping town calories. I'm not getting the proper rest on trail, and it's finally caught up with me, I think. So basically what I'll do is I'll get to bed early tonight, and early meaning compared to the previous night. So like my goal is to be like out in 2 hours, which would be 9:30. So like water, stretch, food, get the tent set up, out by 9:30, and that will allow me to get at least 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep. 7.5, because what I'll do tomorrow is I'll get up at 5, get on trail prior or by 6, and I'll hike the last 16 miles to town. So I'll get there about midday if I'm hiking well. What I'm also going to do tonight for dinner is because I'm carrying extra food, I'll just eat a little bit extra food, and when I get to town, I'll just supplement like future meals at the grocery store, and that'll be fine. So sorry it's not a happy-go-lucky video, but like I said before, like I want to be honest with this stuff, and sometimes you just have those low energy days and you don't got it. I think I'm going to end up having 21 miles today, and I want to do 25. It's going to be, I think, right around 21. So, anywhoozy, I wanted to do 25 to 27 today, and I'm a bit short again. So I'll finish those. I'll finish those 16 tomorrow. Get into town, start eating some calories. Figure out my Yellowstone permits. Figure out correct my resupply snafu, and then I'll spend the rest of the time resting and filling myself with calories. So sorry for that jerk right there. There's a mosquito trying to sting me or bite me. I hope everyone is doing well, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you folks tomorrow, hopefully from town. So have a nice evening.